I've never been the most level-headed person. I'll just say that right now. It was particularly bad when I was a kid. When I panic, I tend to act less on logic and reason, and more on solving the problem right here, right now, and by any means possible. Sometimes those means can cause some pretty significant damage. Like, one time, a good long while ago, I went out to the garage of my home. We normally kept York patties out in the freezer we kept out there, mostly because we found it tasted better to us. Well, this time I was out there by myself, closing the garage door behind me so that none of the cats came out with me. This wasn't any different than usual, but that day it would turn out to be a mistake. Basically, when I went to go back inside, the door wouldn't open. No amount of turning the handle and yanking it around with my tiny little kid arms did nothing to open it. So I went to ring the bell that we had out there, except I guess I had forgotten that that thing had been broken for years, so nobody came to my rescue. I realized I would have to pound on the door to get someone's attention, but I knew that I wasn't strong enough to make enough of a sound to get noticed. So I did the next logical thing. I found a baseball bat that we kept in the garage and hit the door with it. Several times. I was finally rescued when my dad heard me banging on the door, and he literally had no words for me. Mom and my sister had, on the other hand, had plenty of words. Because, let's be frank, I was an idiot who had officially damaged the door. The dents are probably in that door to this day, a good 7 or 8 of them. It would be a good few years before something like that happened again. At this time, I was in my preteen years, old enough to be left home alone, which I actually had to do this day because at the time we had 2 dogs. Bucky, our beloved mutt, who was the most precious baby in the world, and our boxer Bo. Bo was a little shit, and also a puppy who couldn't be left alone in the house for more than an hour. So I was upstairs in my parents' bedroom playing on the computer and keeping an eye on the dogs. At some point, I was thirsty, so I went downstairs to the kitchen to grab a drink, closing the door behind me. A bit of a factual tidbit, our house at the time really only had 3 doors with locks on them. The 2 bathrooms that connected to the hallways and the master bedroom, my parents' room. The problem with these locks is that they could only be locked on the inside, with these flimsy little buttons underneath the handle. A button that was all too easy to press if you weren't paying attention. When I left the dogs alone in the room, guess what? I accidentally pressed the button on my way out, something that I didn't discover until I went and tried to get back inside. So now I had managed to lock 2 dogs, one of them being an energetic puppy, inside a room by themselves. And I had no idea where the stupid key was, and therefore was unable to unlock the door from the outside. I spent a good amount of time panicking, of course, and trying to figure out how to get the door open without the key. Which I didn't know how to do, since this normally wasn't a thing I had to worry about. My parents knew where the keys were, and looking back on it now, I probably should have called them to ask. But no, of course I didn't do the logical thing. No, I figured out I would try to break the fucking door down with the flimsy canvas director's chair. After my first attempt, I realized this would not work as I had planned, as all I had managed to do was knock a grapefruit-sized hole in the side of the door. I eventually went looking for an alternate solution again, checking the door frame in an act of desperation. The key was atop of the door frame. Go figure. My dad was definitely less than pleased by the havoc I had done upon their door, but by that point there wasn't much we could do about it. We talked about fixing it in some way, or getting the door replaced, but we never did. That hole stayed up there until me and my sister moved out, and probably would have been there forever if we had stayed. I'm glad to say that I do have a much cooler head on my shoulder, even if I do still have my moments. But hey, at least there's no new holes anywhere. At least not caused by me.
Thank you for watching another one of my videos. I really hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like, share, and comment, and subscribe to this channel for more content like this.